Speaker. Okay, call the meeting to order for Medford Lake City Council, regular council meeting for December 16, 2025. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And okay. We will do a quick roll call. Council, I do have a request to be excused from Council Member Spears. He is working out of town and could get back in time. To entertain a motion to excuse.
Move to accept. Second.
Okay, give the second to Councilmember Maxwell.
you.
Thank you. Member Spears is excused. Thank you.
Did we vote?
Oh, we did vote.
And then we need discussion before the vote.
And our lawyer is online. You're gonna keep me, I'm trying to join and do all kinds of things at once. Okay. Any further discussion? And okay, and we have the motion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passed. Okay, thank you so much. All right, now let's get back in our groove here. Councilmember Pritchard,
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Present.
Councilmember Maxwell,
Here.
Councilmember Harbolt,
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Present.
Okay. And Councilmember Ray Abbott is not present, and we haven't heard, so we'll just count by Councilmember Ray Abbott as absent, unless she shows up later, so. Opportunity for approval of the agenda. There is one addition to the agenda, asking for the addition of the special meeting for November 25th, 2025. We had a special meeting. Would like to add that to the agenda.
Move to accept with the addition.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much. We'll get that added. Any other changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, entertain a motion and to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda approved. Interested citizen comment. This is opportunity for those online or in the audience, or anyone who has signed up to have your 3 minutes to comment before council. We do have Sheldon Jackson from Spokane. Do we want to do that now, or we're doing that as a workshop agenda?
Yeah, I think he's here for the workshop.
For the workshop. So thank you for signing in, but we'll hear from you in a minute, and we'll give you more than 3 minutes, so we understand that we have important things to talk about. Thank you. Any other interested citizen comment? You'll have another opportunity before the meeting's over, if you think of something along the way. Announcements, proclamations, and special presentations. We'll take this opportunity now to take oath of office for myself, being reelected, and then Councilmember Harbolt, Olson, Kennedy, and Wilbur. Mr. Wilbur is our newest elected official. We're excited to have you here. So I believe Mr. Ronholt has your oath. So if the council members will come down front here, and Mr. Wilbur, if you would come up, we'll have you sworn in all at once. If anyone wants to snap a picture, you can do that. We can also want to get a better picture afterwards when we have time for that.
If council members would want to line up here in front of the dais,
Perfect.
we're next to each other. Thank you very much.
I will conduct this by leading the oath. When I say state your name, you'll obviously state your own name. And then you will also state your position when prompted. For Heath Wilbur, that's position number 1. Theodore Olson, that is number 2. Donald Kennedy, that is number 3. And Anthony Harbolt, that is number 4. So if you don't mind raising your right hand and repeating after me. I state your name.
I, Donald Kennedy,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am legally qualified to assume the office
that I am legally qualified to assume the office
of City of Medical Lake Council Position Number, state your position,
City of Medical Lake Council position number 4.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and laws of the United States and the Constitution
and laws of the United States and the Constitution
and laws of the State of Washington
and laws of the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office
discharge the duties of this office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations.
Same. We'll see you in January.
Congratulations.
Mayor Cooper, if you don't mind raising your right hand and repeating after me. I, Terry Cooper,
I, Terry Cooper,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am legally qualified to assume the office
that I am legally qualified to assume the office
of Mayor of City of Medical Lake,
of Mayor of City of Medical Lake,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and laws of the United States and the Constitution
and laws of the United States and the Constitution
and laws of the State of Washington
and laws of the State of Washington,
and all local ordinances,
all local ordinances.
and that I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office
discharge the duties of this office
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability. Thank
Very
you.
much. Congratulations.
Last time I did that, was just coming out of COVID, on a little tiny screen about that big, it didn't feel the same. Hey. Reports. We have our public safety report. I don't think it quite made it on. Thank you for coming. Bye. So our public safety report, who's giving that tonight? Is that going to be Sheriff Knowles or are we just hearing?
Chief Rohrbach, Sheriff Knowles, I think is here for the.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Okay.
for-
Well, I'm just
I
asking,
can make some stuff up, but Kenny Warmock's better.
and the made up stuff's always more fun. Chief
Be
Rohrbach.
truthful. You know, be what you're looking for.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Congratulations, Mayor, council members.
Thank you.
So stats, November, second slowest month of the year, which is a good thing in our business. So 47 calls. I think 41 was the low, and we're typically 50 to 70. So, and then overall, just over 600 coming into the final month of the year. So right what we would expect from Medical Lake. And when we look globally across the district, we had a really slow first quarter that was way back, which was always kind of interesting because you're always trying to project what the body of work will be and what the factors are. Certainly things like weather and some things can drive calls, but then the back half of the year has been gaining ground. So we're up 1.1% over the same period last year. So I just anticipate if you look long term, it'll just continue to come up given our population's increasing. But right where we would expect for Medical Lake, really not a lot of big like winter storm events yet at this point. So the big story is the wind. we got through the last one, wasn't unscathed. I think, some down power lines and things. So we'll be ready again this evening and through the rest of the week just to see what happens. Not as much wind throw as we saw, maybe in, I think 2001 was kind of a similar weather pattern, but more damage associated with that event. So we're thankful for that. We got through the first one, but we'll see what the rest of the week brings. We do have, obviously, you're aware of the circumstances in Western Washington. We have some resources deployed over there helping out. So winter will eventually arrive, and then we'll deal with the road related impacts and as well as the uptick in structure fires as we just see more devices being turned on for the year. In other news, and I'm digging all the Christmas attire tonight. Santa is coming to Medical Lake Thursday and Friday. So our website has the link to or Facebook has the link to the Santa tracker, and they'll post a fresh link every night for the community on Facebook. But you can also go to our website on the community tab. There's a cheer in there. You go to community and cheer, and it'll show you the exact layout. But south half of Medical Lake on Thursday, north half Friday. So Santa's really busy this week, so it's got to break Medical Lake into two segments because they're covering a lot of miles. But always a great turnout here. We love, because folks, you can see how many people are watching. I think it's typically over like 300 in Medical Lake. So Santa and the firefighters love that.
Well, thank you. That's a great community event. I want to thank you for fire department serving hot chocolate during the winter festival. 500 cups of hot chocolate went out according to the cup count. And so anyway, that was just really great participation. They had their door open, and it was just on the way from one event to the other things happening at City Hall. And so it was just a perfect spot to be and a great way to engage with the community. So thanks for that.
Yeah, happy to
Appreciate
do that. And they love to be busy too. So it's good kind of busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then I think in closing, I've talked on the regional 911 center often to this group, and what I can say tonight is we anticipate positive developments this week to be announced as soon as tomorrow. So more to come on that. We've been in collaborative discussions with City of Spokane as well as the county commissioners and then our member agencies at the regional center. So should be some developments this week, and so I'm hoping we can maintain the collaboration.
That's great. I was watching the federal announcement related to that as well, and they're supporting having a unified system and bringing things up together. Up to the highest standard of technology together in a unified way. So I was thinking of you. I'm glad to hear that. That's
Yes.
great.
Collaboration is important,
It
and
is.
folks call 911, they expect it to work, they expect it to be seamless, and so I'm optimistic that we'll have a solution to announce later this week.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Rohrbach?
I've had one that I've just been sitting on for a little while. It's been a while since we've heard, but how's the district doing with volunteers?
We're slightly up. The challenge we have, right? We continue to come up slightly, but the work outpaces the workforce, right? So it's disproportionately growing. Volunteerism's it's just a slight uptick and we're pretty good on call volume this year, but we've seen years, 15% increase. And the challenge we have, it's partly due to numbers, but it's also partly due to the model, right? As far as we were historically entirely volunteer. Now we're a combination with roughly 140-ish volunteers and 30 full-time career personnel. What you see with 11 stations across the district, what you see is some stations on the southern line near Whitman County, right? You add 10% to 10 calls,
Right.
you went up one call a year. You add 10% to 4 lakes and you went up 110. And so it's this logarithmic curve of growth, and there's no exact scientific formula of when you begin to overwhelm a volunteer response, but our best approximation, and it depends on the station and people, but around 300 calls at a volunteer station. Above that starts to become typically more than they can manage in a healthy way, even if they have a robust response out of that station. And then of course there's a time component. And so there's not one solution that's it's all career or it's all volunteer. It's truly a combination approach as we move forward. But that's what the department is really looking at is where do we see the call density? Where do we see the numbers going up? Because you can graph it. I call it the hockey stick curve. And you've got to watch for when you enter that tip of the hockey stick, because that call volume it'll start growing logarithmically. And it'll outpace you really quick. And so what we see is particularly the northern end of our district, to include Medical Lake, Four Lakes, Windsor area, is some of the fastest growing heat in the entire county. And so we see commercial development, we see suburban, we see, urban, just transitioning. And we, kind of our pulse is what are the permits doing and tracking permits. And there's no really indication of slowing, maybe a little flattening off, but it still seems pretty steady. And so you look when for instance, in 2016, Four Lakes was at 300 calls annually. Four Lakes today is 1,100 calls in a decade later. So it started in that, eventually maybe you reach saturation, right, when you become fully urban, but there's this point of inflection, right, where it just goes. And so when we look over at like the Windsor area, we're looking pretty hard at that. Right now, we've got a good, robust volunteer response. And then, of course, we model this with very, very advanced modeling. We have GIS software where we can actually look at the speed limit. We can look at the road miles. We can look at, we'll do like a call set of 7,000 calls and run hypothetical scenarios, and we can put station turnout time, like how quickly it takes the firefighters to get into the truck. Is it volunteer? Is it staff? And so we'll model, and then we'll ask the model to show us like, where would you go next to do the greatest good? And what we see is that kind of northeastern corner, that Windsor area, Howlett, Thorpe, I-90 is a challenging place. Cheney, we're able to partner with City of Cheney some. We help each other, but that's another for both agencies, a lot of heat there. And then the one that's always really interesting to me is Spangle. From a hazard perspective, we have what we would classify as low frequency but high risk. You have Liberty School District, that if you're familiar where Liberty Spangle is, it's kind of on an island. You have Upper Columbia Academy just on the outskirts of the city of Spangle. And again, these are not high call volume areas, but if something happens there, right, it's very high risk profile with all the, what's going on there. Yeah. And then you add city of Spangle on top of that. And why I point to Spangle, because great, we have a great volunteer response there, but their help when you run the models, there's no help, right? We can lean on partners and other stations as you come north here, right? We've got Fairchild, we've got District 10, we've got Airway Heights, we've got City of Spokane, right? You've got all these folks. We've got all our other stations, 32 is just south of town. But you run the simulations, like in the first 10 minutes, most of our stations start to interact, right? When you see the trucks coming out, it's kind of like a spider web that's growing. 10 minutes, they've all, you run the simulation until every call's answered. You run it at Spangle and it just keeps running. And they're I call it's like a spider web or almost like a watershed map, right? Where streams are tributary, but it's all the roads and, going out. And so what happens is Spangle from a what would move the needle the most to get the right resource to the right place, the right time, the most efficiently, Spangle's where we go next. The challenge then is you probably can't solve the problem from within the paradigm it exists. And you probably just can't add more volunteers at some point. And you're talking a staff station, you're talking funding, obviously the funding models between volunteer and career are drastically different. So it's the same path. Every fire department marches down. And so we're working, what's the solution? What's I think it comes back to the community. What's the community's expectation for service? And so we're in a okay place with the volunteers. We're seeing good turnout. I think we're thankful for that. But the bigger challenge, right, is how do you provide service delivery when call volume starts to go north of 300 calls per station, and you start to overwhelm a volunteer response.
For that update.
Yeah, that may be more in depth than you wanted, but we really, yeah, we try to do a very, very analytical, very fact-based, like here's the numbers. So.
We appreciate it. Any other questions for fire? So we appreciate you. Thanks for all you do for us. Merry Christmas. And
Thank you.
to
Merry
your
Christmas.
family.
Merry Christmas.
We will look into committee and council reports. Councilmember Pritchard.
We had an HCDAC meeting on last Thursday. There was one application for the first $2.3 million of the task force, or for the emergency response.
The
funding
Navigator.
The Navigator, yeah, so the Navigator is from the Spokane County. As people applied and they got the money, we at least we advised that to be funded, which was great, I think. And then as far as the PFAS project, everything was submitted, the report and all those data were submitted. We're done. And wonderful, beautiful weather on Saturday. What a wonderful event. I got my whole family to run around the lake. Run around the lake. Yeah, it was a great event. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy.
Last week did go to a transportation council meeting. Listened to some things. Now, Tony, are you, or Sonny, are you on the Transportation Advisory Committee? Is that what you?
The Transportation Advisory Committee is made up of citizens from different regions. I'm on the Transportation Technical Committee.
Okay. Well, I just know on the
Just
advisory
technically.
committee, they're looking for new members, and I'm just wondering, okay, I thought that was what you were on. I'm thinking you get more detail about this sort of stuff than we do at the board. This was just a general thought that they mentioned that the TIP program, Transportation Improvement Program, they're scheduled 12 to 13 million in their annual output for projects coming up in 26. Thought that was interesting. Another summary report we got was on the reduce traffic deaths and serious injuries. And I thought it was interesting that the target for WSDOT is 0 by 2030. And I thought, now how in the world are they planning on getting rid of all traffic deaths by 2030? Either you have to ban all cars or ban stupid people from driving. I just don't see how it can be possible. But anyway, apparently they're working on that.
Well, Target 0 sounds so.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. And then they also gave a little brief update on the vehicle miles traveled reduction program. And what they so he said that this was sausage that came from the state legislature.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Councilmember Maxwell.
General government had a meeting tonight, and just to let everybody know, the city crews are preparing for night storm. They're going to be setting up staging pumps and also having chainsaws ready if any problems happen. The installation of FEMA funded generators are going to be coming in soon, and lake levels are within normal standards right now. And tonight's gonna be my last meeting as a councilman. I would like to say thanks to everybody for the opportunity to be here and stuff. And I'm really proud of a lot of of everything that we've accomplished in such a short amount of time. And couldn't have been done without the great employees that we have. I wish more of them were here tonight, but very impressed by the caliber of people we have, and very appreciative of you guys. Do a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, and Bob. We want to thank you for serving, for
Thank you.
stepping up
Yeah.
to serve and, like filling those shoes for 4 years. It was a big job. We accomplished a lot.
I
It
agree,
was
yeah.
not, there was never a light docket, I don't think, and a lot that was managed, and we just appreciate your engagement and your support and being on the general government committee. But you're
Thank you.
tremendous citizen, and we're just so grateful that you served.
And I'm only a phone call away in case you guys get in trouble or anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, so we'll call you back if there's.
Yeah. No, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure working with you for sure. Thank you so much. Councilmember Olson.
Yes, thanks again, Bob. You've really been an asset to the committee and made my job a lot easier. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safety Committee also met tonight, and Councilman Maxwell covered the Public Works part. The wastewater treatment plant, their head works and their SCADA updates projects are in the test phases. That's an ongoing thing, but what they do is they put different scenarios in so they can make sure that this thing is working the way it should work. So if something comes up, they've have run the different scenarios on things, which is really a smart move on their part. The solar array had malfunction, and the contractor is scheduled to repair it in January. But that's the first problem they've ever had with it. And when this thing is up and running, it saves $1,000 a month. So it's well worth the money. And luckily, it's going to be covered under warranty because it was a pretty substantial amount that we put out. Under administration, the TIB is awarding 90% approval of the eligible projects cost for the maximum of $767,700 for the Lefebvre Street restriping project. And the grant agreement will be coming soon to the city council. And the surveillance cameras request for requotes, are RFQs, they're sent to the public work roster, and the vendors are awaiting the quotes for procurement. And the 26 city council committee commission board appointees will be on 1/6/26, and the city council and procedures annual report will be that same day. Also, I think the fire department covered everything that we were going to talk about that, and we're just waiting to see what happens with the 911 in this coming week. And that concludes my report, except that we got one hot off the press for the sheriff's department. It's brand new, and so we don't have the answers to the questions, but one of them that stuck out was the simple assault went up 600%, which jumps out and looks really horrible, but that was a 1 month stat. And so that's why it gave the red print.
0 to 6 or something.
Exactly, yeah. So, because the average was 4. And so if it went up high, something happened just for a spike.
Yeah.
And that concludes my report, Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Councilmember Harville.
No report, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much. I do have a few things. I ended up having a really busy week. But I had been attending the PFAS task force meetings and then somehow found myself appointed to the committee. And so we're working through the criteria for the navigator model. And we'll be meeting tomorrow night at the sheriff's office here on 902. Our audit secretary of state, we did have that exit interview, and there were no findings, a couple letters on things that we continue to improve. They were so impressed with the work that we've done, and so it was great to hear that straight from them. We did a Facebook Live as part of our comp plan periodic update outreach, and we had our partners with DSHS, Medical Lake School District, and Reimagine Medical Lake. Lisa Rodriguez, our planner, was there, and Roxanne, thank you for taking care of the technology. But it was really great, and we had community engagement, but it was really neat to talk about how can we partner better. And they all did a great job, and we're really excited about being part of the conversation. So that was a what first off. So I think you'll see more of those. And then Thursday, I attended the AWC Board of Directors meeting in SeaTac. I'm representing District 1 now, and got some great information about things that are coming up. At the state level, they adopted their legislative agenda and their budget, and as you know, we adopted their legislative agenda as part of ours, and so it was good to be part of that discussion. Saturday then followed with us elected officials essentials. It was held in Airway Heights, and so our new council members were both there. And so very informative, and I would just highly recommend council members maybe take it again sometime, because it really is informative. And then also they're encouraging now AWC is all the elected officials to actually get their elected officials certificate. So it's not hard to do. It's mostly online courses, but it keeps you up to date on what's changed in the law and how we should conduct ourselves, but we do very well. Had, as you know, Broadlink has been awarded $90 million and will be building out Spokane County. And Medical Lake has been the recipient of being a partner with them. So we're having actually quite a few meetings with the Broadlink board, which I'm chairing right now, representing the small cities. And so I'll be up for re-election to that seat in January. Winter Festival was a blast, and we had a great turnout. And then Sunday, I was with the sheriff's department out at Walmart in the Valley. They were short a Santa, couldn't find one, and Ryan Stemkowski's like, "Hey, I know somebody." So anyway, they got 2 for 1. We were Mr. and Mrs. Claus. It was really great to be there, and kids that were selected by their counselors could go and shop with an officer, buy presents for all of their families. And then there was a secret shopper who bought presents for them that they didn't know. So they're all wrapped, all the wrapped gifts go out into the car, and then they find out on Christmas that, oh, there were gifts for me too. But it was just a really fun day, a long day. I saw a picture of myself on the last one with the last kid, and I was like, I look like wilting Santa, but it was really fun. So I was glad to be part of that. So I usually don't have such a long report, but I was like, yeah, it's been busy. I think everything's trying to get packed in right here at the end of the year. So Sunny, do you have a report also, please?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Most everything I was going to share has been shared, so I won't repeat it, which is great. A lot of good things happening. The live stream had over 82 views when I checked it out this morning. So the message continues. This was great about it. It was a live stream, and those who were tuned in got all the great information, hearing the stories of collaboration, but it's also on our YouTube channel, and we've been putting the link out via social media, and folks are watching it. So they get to see it even though they didn't watch it live. That's great. Just wanted to say thanks to all the Reimagine Medical Lake and the volunteers and the local businesses and the Parks and Rec staff and our public works staff for the Winter Festival collaboration. It was a beautiful day, great crowd, awesome turnout, great memories made, and just really grateful for all the folks who contributed to that. Wanted to let you all know too that we've been working with Cheney Court and Airway Heights Court for the transition of our municipal court services. January 1 starts our new agreement with Airway Heights, and so been great working and facilitating that. So that transition's got a good plan, and everything should transition over smoothly. We're anticipating that. So it's all in work. Just wanted to give you that update. And one other thing wanted to say, we put this in front of all of you as our first activity guide. Parks and Rec has been working hard on that. And so the goal is that we'll do this 3 times a year, kind of in between seasons, to let everybody know what's coming up well in advance. Got the community calendar in there too with upcoming events so that everybody knows well in advance. And our rec programming has been expanding. And so it's hard to fit it all into the newsletter. We come out with a program guide. These will be going around town to some of our establishments to help get the word out, or even in our apartment complexes, because those folks don't tend to see all the other things and don't get a utility bill, and so they're not as read in. So we're trying to expand and do that. We'll do it virtually as well with our partners in the school district, but just wanted to tout that for the good work that Parks and Rec did, building a great activity guide. Very exciting to see all of the opportunities available to the community. So, Bob, I just want to say again my thanks and gratitude for you and your service on City Council. It takes a special person to step into the role, and I can't let you go without giving you a quote. So, the quote that I think about as you say farewell for your service is that one of my favorite quotes about community is that you are the they, and they should do something about that. So thanks for stepping up and playing the part that you played.
Thank you.
And then lastly, I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Sonny. Merry Christmas to you. Okay. Workshop discussion. We have Sheldon Jackson. We have Sheriff Knowles here also to talk about the MOU for Treatment First model. Is Sonny and I have been attending for some months, starting a couple of years ago, I think, and came up with a kind of a regional model that everyone agreed was the full wraparound services. And then that there was an election change, and so it went in a new direction. So now there's an opportunity now for this grassroots attempt to come back to where all of the regional partners agree that this is the best model. So I'm so grateful, Sheldon. So we're happy to hear about this MOU. It's a non-binding MOU, but it does put some, I guess, some clout behind it to say that, yeah, we're with you. So.
Well, it's good that you started with the regional approach, because I think that's what we're talking about. Here's another shot at the regional approach. And us two up here, we believe in the treatment first, just from what we've seen. Sheriff Knowles sees a lot more than I do, but I'm from Spokane. I own real estate downtown, urban real estate, and we see it every day. We deal with it every day. And we agree with the treatment first versus the housing first. Not that we don't need housing, we just believe that housing is second, and that you help these people through to then move them into housing. What we provided was two different documents. One is the MOU, which again, non-binding. It gives you the opportunity to review this, but if you do not like the terms that the federal government are offering, you're not bound to that. You still have the opportunity to step back. Then the other thing that we have provided is the Dr. Marbut study. And I think you have been to those meetings with Dr. Marbut. And he has been very successful in his programs throughout, not in multiple locations and throughout the United States. And it's been treatment first. And it just so happens that it is his group that got in front of the president and came up with the executive order. So what you're seeing from the federal government is from Dr. Marbut, which just so happens Dr. Marbut has been to Spokane probably half a dozen times. And Washington Policy Center, the Hello for Good, Spokane Business Association. He has been brought in and has performed a most recent study for the city of Spokane. So two different documents, depends on how deep you want to get into it. What we are asking you here this evening is to join with the other communities in the Spokane County to sign the MOU, so that we could be the first county in this nation to have every jurisdiction sign and deliver it to HUD. And show that we are willing and ready to have them help us fund and support mental health and drug addiction. Yeah.
And I will say, the genesis of this came, obviously, I've had a lot of conversations, Preston McCollum, our prosecuting attorney, has had a lot of conversations with business owners in the city of Spokane and across Spokane County. Because there is a problem that is afflicting our communities. A lot of times it's erroneously labeled as homelessness. I think everybody here would agree being homeless or having housing challenges is not a crime. But unfortunately, there are people who decide that their drug addiction or their significant mental health issue, or in many times both of those, prevents them from behaving in a way that allows them to be housed. And this is the segment of the homeless population we are talking about. They are the people who are willingly living on the street because they would rather stay addicted to drugs or not address the mental health issues that they have that are preventing them from being able to accept housing and live somewhat independently to at least a degree they would be otherwise capable of if they weren't suffering from a drug addiction or a mental health problem. I'm going to be very clear that this model, this treatment first, is meant to address those folks. I think the system, the housing first model, has proven that if you take people who are otherwise well adjusted and capable of living independently and making good decisions, you can provide them a place to live and they can succeed. And that is truly, honestly, what they need. That is not the population that is afflicting our communities negatively today. So it is our belief in our discussions, Sheldon and I had many phone conversations over the last couple of years about how do we deal with this segment of the population that just refuses to, not commit crimes in our communities. They're using drugs. We know they trespass, they destroy property, they vandalize property, they defecate in public. They obstruct people from going in and living their lives. And what's the most effective way to address them? And being really, frankly, unhappy with the approach that a lot of the previous administrations federally and maybe the administrations in some of our local jurisdictions are taking in solving that. We very firmly believe that people who are addicted can get clean. With the proper supports, the proper motivation, treatment does work. And then when the Trump administration came out with their executive order, we were like, this is exactly what we've been saying. We know this works. It's intuitive that this approach works. And so we just thought, and it wasn't even me, really, it was Sheldon, a couple other private citizens who said, we need to get this into a document. Let's take President Trump's name off it because it offends. It doesn't offend everybody. It doesn't even offend a majority of people. But there are people who are working in these spaces where if it comes from President Trump, they're just not going to deal with it. I don't believe that's this council. But we decided, you know what, let's take President Trump's name off of this. Let's put it in a document and say, we believe this is the best way to help the vulnerable people in our community. And let's see if we can get all of our local governments to sign on saying, yes, this is the direction we want to go. And it's just kind of taken off like a shot.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
We were surprised when that executive order came out. It was like, oh my goodness, did we write this? I mean, we've been working on this for so long and we've gone down this well so deep. It's like, this is our answers right here. And to help us fund it, to support it and to provide all these things for us. There is one, we just need to get everything out. There is one negative side to this is that if you don't go with the executive order, then you will be defunded. That is a problem that we have to explain, is that there's a defunding part of this too, is that if you don't sign on to the new treatment first deal, the threat is defunding.
from the federal government.
From the federal government,
Right.
not from us, not from anybody else, but from the federal government, there's that threat. We don't know exactly what that looks like. Some of the numbers that have been thrown out, to me, has been $9 million to the continuum of care would be defunded. And so there's that part of it too. So let's join together with no real commitment and, sign the MOU.
I think that it's just making the statement that we agree that this isn't the best path forward. And I will say to this council that Sunny and I spent months, and we don't have a homelessness problem, right? That's how it was approached, homelessness problem. But we attended all those meetings, and this is the model that everyone landed on. It isn't Trump's idea. Somebody else brought it to him and said, here's what all the people
He has
want.
people for that.
Yes.
It's not his idea. So, it's the community idea. And this is the idea that everybody in the region wanted across the board. Everybody wanted this. And then, you know, when the city of Spokane decided that they wanted to do it with the scatter model and some of those things, then all the other voices, you know, were kind of left out of that. And so I'm really happy to see this come back. I don't, you know, the defunding part and, you know, all of that, we don't get money, a lot of money for that. But I will tell you, from my career in criminal justice and working with addicted people, it's not that they want to be on the street, it's they can't do anything else. Their brain has been hijacked. All they can do is survive, and they're like an animal. Their mind has been taken over, and all they're just consumed with I must have, I must get, I must run, I must do, and they can't function outside of that. The treatment first model disrupts that and gets them in a safe, secure, stable place that can work them off of their addiction. And some of them have to come back a few times before they finally get it, but it does work. Treatment does work. And you get them to the 90-day mark. It's like this magic light bulb goes on. That's what I saw for 25 years in my career. 90 days, it's like, wow, I could live differently. And I don't know what it is about that 90th day, but if you can get someone sober for 90 days, it is. And then they can manage small steps. You know, and you're aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so they're on the base of hierarchy of needs. Those folks can only envision one step above that. Anybody, no matter where you are in the hierarchy, you can only say, well, I could be one step. If I could get like them, I'd be doing pretty good. You cannot envision beyond that. It's a stair step process. So you got to help people climb the ladder. But anyway, sorry, I'm very passionate about it. And you know, I just worked in it in so long, and the programs we ran were this very model. We did it since 2004, and we had 85% success rate because we could use accountability, responsibility, you know, and give those wraparound services where they really have a person invested in their life that says, I believe in you, we're going to help you. And so anyway, kudos to you. I'm all in. I hope our council's all in, but any questions, council? You know, sorry, you got to hear my mantra, you know, anytime it comes up, you will, I can't resist. So
I'm assuming the feds aren't paying for 100% of this. So is there a financing matrix that's been talked about? Because I would think that.
So
I can't imagine the city of Spokane being totally on board for paying for all of this, even though that's where most of the problem is.
So the executive order basically sent out the new policy for the federal government, and a significant amount of the funds that we already receive are federal dollars to deal with some of these issues. So there's no new money involved with any of this. The MOU essentially says we agree with the policy that the federal government put out attached to the funding that they already give us. And we agree with it, and we want to start working in ways to implement those policies. I think by us overtly adopting this in as many of our communities as we can is going to help us locally. Our state attorney general has already filed a lawsuit against the federal government over this thing, but I think there's a possibility the federal government may overlook that for our community if we have this overstatement of support for that policy. Again, this county is on the radar of the Trump administration as far as they know we support that executive order. So we don't want to see a disruption to that funding. When Sheldon was talking about the $9 million, it would be the federal government saying, you're not going to administer those dollars we're giving you the way that we say they have to be administered, so we're going to pull them back. That's the defunding of the $9 million. So no new money. This isn't even a financial obligation to you. This is just a signed statement of we believe this is the policy we should carry forward.
Most of these things kind of lead to a financial thing.
Things that we're already paying for.
Yeah.
And I think it's a commitment to reinvest. You know, let's say we're spending 75 or 80% of our HUD award on housing right now. Well, maybe the people who are in charge of those things decide, given this policy, maybe we need to start investing 65-70% in treatment, and then maybe another 35 to 40% in housing, maybe switch that around, right? So again, there's not going to be any new dollars, but maybe it's a shift on where we're investing the dollars we already received. But that's for other policy people like you, not me.
I think the federal government also recognizes that Spokane has one of the highest fentanyl per capita problems. We have a human and drug, sex, gun trafficking problem here that is higher than, the rest of the nation in a lot of ways. And all of it comes back to this addiction and all of this that's happening. And so treatment will help us.
I mean, I agree that treatment is needed for a lot of the people, but isn't it a majority of the folks that are like what we consider homeless that need the housing, aren't those families and children for the most part that aren't necessarily like the people you see on Division Street?
Right. So the funds will continue to be used for those. I think a lot of what this is addressing the people that we are seeing down on Division, the people in our point in time counts that are counted out living on the street. A significant number of them do have a significant mental health disorder or a drug addiction. And in fact, I think it's almost 38% have both.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still thousands of kids.
To your point, though, I think what they're talking about is because we make it a housing first and you put sick people in there who can't manage it, just becomes a flop house. And so those people stay there. So the majority of them, it goes that, and all we do is cycle people in and out and in and out. And then it takes those it makes fewer spaces available for the family. So if you flip it and then you screen for families and get them into, but the majority of people on the street are not families.
Well, just from homelessness, I mean, from that.
The majority of homeless.
I don't believe there's any intent in this to take dollars away from people who don't need treatment or anything like that. It's the thrust is the people who are refusing treatment. I think, for one example, I think it was a little bit more than a year ago, the Spokane Police Department went out and did outreach to the people who were actually on the street downtown. I think they offered over 100 people services and only one person took treatment, right? Or took the services that were offered to include housing, stabilization, things like that, like one person. And so I think part of what this statement is, we're willing to address this, not by just offering them a place to be, because there's many examples of them taking somebody who is addicted or severely mentally have severe mental issues, and they'll put them in a house. And just as the mayor said, they literally just turned into a flop house. And there are treatment providers who have acknowledged that that's what's happening in some of these places. And so I think for the people who need it most, we can get them into treatment before we are working on the other services. And I don't think anybody wants to take away the availability of housing for, like the 1,200 kids out in the valley who are suffering from homelessness, right? I don't think anybody wants to defund that.
Basic idea. It's like what we look at,
It's not an either or. It's not an either or deal. And I think Sheriff Knowles said it earlier, is that we keep putting homelessness into this large, huge box.
No,
and it's not that box. There's so many different types of homelessness. And I see Spokane as being a great place for those people that you're talking about, of not even getting to the street. They're not forced to the street. There's services, there's Family Promise, there's Catholic Charities, there's UGM, there's all these different organizations that those people do not ever see the street. They're homeless categorically, but not living on the street. And I think we do a great job with that. It's this last part that we're not doing a very good job with.
I know we're talking to law enforcement, city of Spokane, too, that if they do come across a situation where there's a child there, I mean, they get mental health, they're on it, they get them off the street right now, and do everything they can, or get the child off the street if the parent won't go. And so I think I agree with you from what the folks I've talked to. It's not families, it's mostly individuals, or couples that hooked up on the street, so they're together. But no, it's, I commend you for doing that. Also, I sit on the Board of Association of Washington Cities. I'm small District 1 representative. So if you need help doing outreach to the other city councils, if you'd like my help, reach out to me. I'd be happy to, as you can tell, I'm passionate about it, but I won't take over your show, but I.
No, any help would be, would be great.
Knowing people and, talking with them.
Deer Park is next. Airway Heights is already signed, Liberty Lake is signed. Millwood has approved it and will be signing. And the county is going to, we're working with the county to sign, city of Spokane Valley to sign. Deer Park will be first week in January, and then Cheney has a new mayor, and we'll be presenting to them once the new mayor is.
I've already met with her, and so anyway, if I can help in any way, let me know if all is well and the path is smooth. No worries, but if I can connect you, I'm happy.
One of the things that was brought up this evening, and I'm trying to, we're trying to go through, we're getting all the cities done first. And, we talk about Spangle and things like that, but I don't really, do you see that as being a need to sign the document?
It's not gonna hurt.
I mean,
You want to
so
know why
those
I
are,
think you should? I'll tell you why I think you should is because there are people living out in those rural areas that are living in broken down RVs and trailers. A parent maybe is on addiction, the kids are there, they have no running water, no heat, whatever, and they're trying to go to school, trying to live, and they're so far on the fringe.
sure,
We really do need to make the
Absolutely.
community aware that they have a problem too. It's just might not, and that maybe there's a resource there that we can begin to.
I would love to maybe follow up with you on those. Those are harder ones to get to.
Sure.
The meetings, and they're not, not well incorporated into what they're doing. So that would be.
Well, let me
great.
know what I can do. I think Sunny maybe had a thought or a question.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I was just gonna offer that, I think in addition, this priority, this prioritizing a treatment first approach allows some flexibility in the funding that does come in to be multiplied with agencies that currently cannot see these funds because of the way that
Very true.
they're categorized. And so like this, and there's certain agencies where they can do treatment and move towards transitional housing, and they're very successful models. And but right now they're not eligible for this funding because the priorities are housing first, and because they're aligned with treatment, they're cut out of the equation. So just by reallocating, like the sheriff and Sheldon had mentioned, by reallocating the priorities and being able to shift the funding and say that this meets the model that we've prioritized, it expands the ability for service providers to make a bigger impact on the population that we're hoping to address.
Any other council members have a question or comment? Yes, sir.
The only information I have is what I see before me, and I appreciate you guys getting in and jumping on this, but I also looked at the background discussion on this, and I see that even after Medical Link adopted a resolution prior, unfortunately, no such regional authority was established. These are great ideas, great foundational ideas, but I don't see any solutions. And I spent 21 years working for the state of Washington, and I don't know how many MOUs I saw, and they were just like by the way, you need to know this. And that's kind of the way I take it. If there was more to it, if there were some more actual solutions, I would be for it. But I probably thrown the blanket on this thing, but I really don't see. I understand what you guys have done. You guys have done a lot of things, but I think it came to a brick wall and it hasn't done anything more. There's no specific things. And as Councilman Pritchard pointed out, true homelessness has been hijacked. It has been by the people who have the drug and alcohol and substance abuse and all of the trafficking that's going on and everything. And then to the mayor's point, we have people who are living in ramshackle housing that barely can keep a roof over their head or a blue tarp, and they call that their home. They are the true homeless ones. And it's a good start, but I sure don't see any solution. Like I said, this is a good, you hit the starting gun, but you got to go someplace from there.
We agreed. And what I would say to you is this: our intent here is just to have a unified voice, kind of pushing towards that regional model again. To number one, let the federal government know that we don't agree with maybe what the state of Washington as a whole is saying, and maybe any other regional municipalities. We don't want the current funding we are getting to be jeopardized. We want to make a very unified, overt statement saying we do agree with the policy set forth by the current administration, and we want to work towards that. The second thrust of this is this should start the conversation again about a regional homeless authority, and whether that's, we'll know really quick who's going to work with us and who isn't. And again, Sheldon's a concerned citizen, a business owner who see things pretty clearly through a lens. I'm just the sheriff. I'm not the one who's setting policy on homeless. I'm not the one deciding how we spend this money. I'm just here saying, hey, I've seen the effects of what's going on in our community. I understand very, very well the problem of addiction in our communities, even in my own home. I know that treatment is going to be the way out of the largest part of this mess that is affecting the community. I do think that the money we have spent so far has worked well for people who are that you're talking about. And we do need to continue spending money on those people that will take the helping hand and who can handle getting housing. They just need a hand up. The problem that has vexed this entire country, and particularly this community, is what do we do with the people who don't want to be helped? Because drugs have clouded their judgment. Drugs have clouded their desire to be independent. Believe it or not, there are people who do want to sleep out on the street if it means they can stay high all day.
That's right.
That's what they want.
And that's the problem, because there's so many beds in town that are available for all the agencies that there are in town, because they don't want to follow the rules.
And
So then you get into funding, and, you know, I'm sorry, but I worked up there in the Hill. And I know that they start closing wards down at Eastern State Hospital. And it's because the state has turned their back on the homeless or the people that actually need the help.
Correct.
And so where do they go? They go out on the street. And then it's a vicious circle then.
Right.
And the jails have cut back. We had the, you know, don't fund the police department going on 4 years ago. And we're trying to get back to where we need to be. I can understand where you're going with this, but man, I mean, I could see, you know, I'd like to sit down with you two and just and discuss some real solutions to these things. I could probably come up with a half a dozen of them and probably get a smile on your face.
And that's what we want.
Yes.
I mean, frankly, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
It's because we're not the ones making this. Like, you all are the elected councils and the elected people who have the voice in those places. And I would like to point out, Sonny actually did a really good job of articulating some of the problems at the policy level with the Housing First model, because there are treatment providers in Spokane County who do provide treatment, who do now provide housing, but under the Housing First model, they can't put them in their housing because they want them to be clean and sober. Right now, under the Housing First model, it has to be low or no barrier. Well, under these new policies, you can have barriers and provide, you know, a place, but you can also require that they're sober too. And there's no strings attached to that money to prevent people from getting well. So you very well articulated that, and a lot of people aren't aware of those kinds of strings being attached to those dollars, and it's very real and very limiting on who can provide services and what types of services they can provide. I mean, let's face it, Union Gospel Mission, the Salvation Army, those people have been providing housing alternatives for, you know, centuries, some of them. And the reason they're able to do it is because it's not a no or low barrier program. You know, people have to be clean, they have to be sober, and that's why they have such a high success rate at getting people housed and off of the government system.
That's why we need to get back into these units in here, and you can put them people in a section, and then as they get sober and clean and sober, then they can be self-sufficient, because then you can have your own people running your own programs, and who better to know something than somebody that's already been through it already.
You're speaking our language. I agree with
you.
And that's exactly what this is doing. This is a reset to go back to saying we have to do it different. We have to get back to getting people well. whether they go to Eastern State Hospital because they're dual diagnosed and start that clean and sober process, or they're able to do it through another facility in Spokane. But this opens up the opportunity to force accountability and to do a better job of getting people aligned with treatment. So we spent 2 years hearing people say those kinds of things. You don't have a plan, so we're not going to support you. That's why we couldn't get across the finish line. But until we come together and say, this is the direction we want to go in, it took 2 years. And then, like I said, it got hijacked, and it was, we're going to do housing first. And Sonny and I walked away. It's like, we can't, it's not going to work. And we know that's not going to work. So this is just like the sheriff said, a unified voice that we can then take to the county and the city and Spokane Valley are the three who get the money. We can say everybody who spends money in your city agrees that this is the model and we want to go in this direction, and we can take that to elected officials who, for whatever reason, think it's really important to get reelected, and say, you know, this is what we want to do.
And that's why I'm glad that everybody's here, because it sure shined a lot more light than what I saw on these 4 pages here.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
Read the Marbut study.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, we provided the Marbut study too. And
Okay.
it's stating exactly what you just stated. Common sense approach to dealing with the people that Sheriff Knowles is talking about. And what they have done is they've taken a large facility, and you can call whatever building you want, but it's a big enough building to have mental health. It's a big enough building to have drug addiction. It's a big enough building to have medical in there. And that's the front door. And then the back door, job training and housing. So it is a holistic approach to not just keep throwing people in jail, letting them out, letting them die on the street, ruining communities, ruining businesses, it's a whole process that starts at the beginning level of treatment and then goes to the full level of housing and job training.
And all the support after that.
Yeah.
It's meeting this intersection of behavior and, you know, being able to be in the community on your own.
Say a building the size of Kaiser North, for instance.
Oh, I hope
Kenny
it's
went
not that
revamped.
big.
We don't have that big a
That's a
problem.
gigantic building.
Kenny revamped I just did a tour. They revamped an old hospital.
Yep.
They ended up, it took about 5 years to get all the funding patched together and whatever. And they work with all the law enforcement of the 3 cities. And they take them in. If someone's on the street, they're getting in trouble, they go right there, they go in and they're triaged. And the entire facility is set up for wellness and to get people sober and on the track. And it was fascinating what they've done. It was started by one mom whose son was suffering from addiction on the streets and committed suicide. And she took it on, and it's opening. And it's a beautiful thing. And we have buildings like that in Spokane that we can do, but we have to unify. It's actually just so awesome. I'm in support of it. Go ahead.
Is there any weigh-in or support from our federally elected officials?
Yes, Congressman Baumgartner has already, I think he gave Sheldon an award for his involvement in this. And we do have representatives from HUD that are from this area who are aware of this. And we're aware that on the national level, they know that we're doing this, and we would be probably the first county in the United States to actually adopt this as a policy and openly support it.
Michael has stated that he would like to, as soon as we get it all signed, present it on the floor
Nice. Great.
and handle that. And Chris Patterson, who is a law for good in this town, he is the regional HUD director right now, and HUD has reviewed this document back in DC. Legally, they don't want to comment on it, but they have reviewed it and they're sharing it. So the document has been shared all the way back to DC.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts or concerns?
I just want to say thank you so much for clearing things up and understanding that we all are on the same board.
Yep.
And, you know, to Councilman Kennedy's point, you know, that it's going to cost us some money, but what isn't? you know, so, and we have to get this thing fixed, and I have compassion for everybody. I call myself a Christian first, and that's where I want to be. I want to be helping people if I possibly can.
I don't hold it against you for for not believing in a document. We've been down that path for many, many years.
Sure.
So,
And you
so
guys
what
did-
and you did with the regional, you get right to the end game and one person doesn't come,
Get the rug
this
pulled out
yanks
from
it
under
out
you.
for, so
Wonderful.
I don't disagree with your
Thank you.
your position.
We understand.
We feel that way a lot of the time.
I'm sure. So council, any reason that we should bring this forward then for signature at our January meeting?
I think we should.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have that on our agenda then in January, and you'll get that from us and communicate through Sunny who we get it back to and all of that. And like I said, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Sounds like Councilmember Olson's
Put my number
a
down.
little passionate about that too. So if we can help you beat the drum out in the bushes, we're happy to do it.
Sonny has all of our information.
Okay.
There's a couple other people that are on. This is Chud Wendell's part of it, and
Okay.
Gavin Cooley is on this, and he helped out tremendously on the Marbut study. So
Yeah.
so they're there for feedback also.
Okay.
And
Right.
Preston,
Yeah, myself and Preston, and again, we're just here to help them navigate stuff. This is 100% grassroots citizen stuff. We figured we could get involved because it's not really necessarily our policy area to make decisions at, but we can advocate because we so strongly believe what these guys are doing to get this community going in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you for your passion and your effort. We appreciate you, Sheldon, so much and what you've done. It's important, and you know.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ken.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. And please reach out. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you,
Sure.
guys.
All right. Thank you, council, for taking the time to have that conversation. I know it took a little more time than usual, but I think it was really. So we have no executive session, no public hearing. We do have a couple of action items. The consent agenda, one, the approval of the December 2nd, 2025 minutes. Is listed on the agenda first.
Okay, move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I wasn't there.
And one abstention from Councilmember Olson, who was not present at the December 2nd meeting. The other is approval of the special meeting from November 25th, 2025. That's what we appointed our judge. Thank you to those who attended. In fact, I have those minutes here, and I'm gonna see those who can vote to approve it are Councilmember Pritchard, Ray Abbott, Kennedy, Maxwell, and Harbolt. Entertain the motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And looks like Councilmember Olson. Not present.
Before you get to the next item,
Yes,
I
sir.
need to say, because I forgot earlier, that the finance committee did meet and we discussed those warrants and everything was hunky
Very
dory.
Thank you. Thank you for your report, sir. With that in mind, then the approval of December 16, 2025 claims warrants numbered. I don't have a full agenda for some reason. I printed one off right before I came in. I borrow your sheet. Thank you, sir. 53229 through 53236 and payable warrants numbered 30302 through 30310 in the amount of $171,197.06 and claim warrants numbered 53237 through 53294 in the amount of $324,891.01.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on claims and warrants? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, council. This is unanimously. No resolutions. We do have some ordinances, as you know. Second read of ordinance 1138, 2026 final budget. Things that make me smile, final budget. I will have legal, if you would read that, council, read that into the record, and then we will proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 1138, City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance of the City of Medical Lake, Washington, adopting a budget for the period January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, appropriating funds and establishing salary schedules for established positions.
Thank you, council. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do not have anything to add at this time, but am available for any questions before passing the ordinance.
I'd move to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Second to Mr. Olson. Any discussion on the final budget? Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have just passed the 2026 final budget. I had one of those little popper things that go. Okay, and second read of ordinance 1139, the Q3 2025 budget amendment. We went over that in detail also. Any questions about that? Concerns or thoughts? I think we went over it pretty well. The only thing on my version, and maybe it wasn't on this or the others, attachment, I think we talked about attachment A. Attachment A ended up on the bottom of the page of the notice of ordinance passed, and then it's not on the top of the page for City of Medical Lake, but that's on my version. Is it?
Sometimes in the PDF, it pops things, but on the one that will go.
Just wanted to make sure the attachment A got on the attachment A.
Yes. Yes.
For good record.
Did, yeah, at least, yes.
Yeah, otherwise it gets lost and they're like, where's the attachment A? You know, it doesn't exist. So anyway. If without any other discussion, entertain a motion that passes amended.
So moved.
Read it out to
And then
the
we would read it.
Oh, please read it onto the record. It's an ordinance council. I'm sorry, I missed that one. I'm getting too excited.
No problem, Mayor. Thank you. Ordinance number 1139, City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, amending ordinance number 1132, Section 1, parenthetical 2024, and parenthetical in the 2025 final budget, providing for the effective date thereof and other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you, council.
Move to
Anything further?
approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion, questions, sense? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously.
Very much.
Okay, great. Emergency ordinances, none. Upcoming agenda items, none. Last opportunity for interested citizen comment. We have one citizen. Mr. Where do you have anything to share? Okay.
To conclude.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is concluded. I could say all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Merry Christmas.